Hello and welcome to Post to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. Now we've done the East. If you haven't seen that video, go watch that video. But now we're doing the West, and we're going to talk about the storylines. We're halfway through the first round. Let's talk about the storylines of each series and the ups and the downs and the how we predicted things and how wrong we were. So let's start off with Chicago and Nashville. And maybe I'll just take this one first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am so excited. I made a very bold prediction that Nashville would beat Chicago, and it looks like it's coming true. I can't believe it. I'm wrong 98% of the time, and it looks like I might actually be right with something, so that has me excited. And I've honestly just I've had fun watching Nashville play, and their fan base, listening to them last night was amazing. I have a new love for Nashville. I'm all on board. So what do you think of the series?
I'm still in shock that the Nashville Predators were able to shut out the Chicago Blackhawks the first two games of this series in Chicago. How did they do this?
That's remarkable.
That is remarkable. Is Chicago playing that bad, or is Nashville that good? I would have never predicted this. I predicted Chicago in this series, hands down, based on what they did in the regular season, as well as the experience on that team. You look at the core group of that team. They've won 3 Stanley Cups. They know what it takes. But if I did have to peg a team that could come back and dig out of this hole, it would be the Blackhawks. But again, it's almost impossible at this point. And I also wanted to note, I love how Nashville dubbed in a little piece of a Tim McGraw song that plays during their goal horn. That is epic.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier that their yellow jerseys are really growing on me. And I know a lot of people hate them, but
they've really become a hockey town. That crowd is
amazing.
Nuts.
I have much more respect for Nashville this year than I have ever before. So, and once we revamp our revamp our list of favorite teams, I have a feeling Nashville is going to move up my list a little bit, even if they lose in the next round or this round. I have a new love for Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, the real story of this series is just Chicago's inability to put the puck in the net.
And yeah, Pekka has played amazing as well, which doesn't help.
It took 3 games for them to finally get a goal. I mean, that speaks volumes, especially when you look at the Blackhawks and their depth. To me, they are in the top 3 in the league for the deepest teams, hands down.
Yeah, I think the goal differential for the whole series is like 11-3 or something like that. Like it's huge. So
it's nuts. I would have never predicted this in a million years.
So who wins the next game?
I think Nashville sweeps them at this point.
Yeah,
all the momentum's on them. I mean, Chicago did have pressure going into this, not as much as the Capitals because they were the President's Trophy winner. But I mean, come on, Chicago was first in the West. They are the most experienced club in the West, in my opinion. Pressure comes with that label.
You're talking about. It's so crazy. We're talking about Nashville, an 8-seat team, basically taking out the first-seat team in the West, happen. And Toronto, the 8-seat team, taking out the first-seat team in the East. It's amazing.
I love it, and we've seen it happen with the LA Kings.
Yes,
they got in that 8th spot, and look what they did.
2012, I think that was the year.
It can happen.
I mean, like you said, Chicago could come back. They're very resilient, but I do believe that Nashville will win the next game and that it will be a sweep.
They got all the momentum in the world now.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next series, Minnesota and St. Louis. Have you watched any of that?
Yeah, I have. And again, this one really surprises me because you look at Minnesota, they were the number 2 team in the league in goals behind the Pittsburgh Penguins. So what's going on? Well, to me, it's one guy. His name is Jake Allen. And man, that guy is stealing that series.
I mean, Halak did it once. Patrick Waugh used to do it back in the day. He would just toy with guys and stuff. He knew. He's like, I want to win this game. And then he did. And that's what Jake Allen's doing. It's remarkable.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're putting up basically over 40 shots a game, and they don't really have a lot to show for it. Minnesota is a very deep team, in my opinion.
Very deep.
The fact that St. Louis is doing this to them, and almost to the point where it looks easy just because Jake Allen is playing that well.
It's like they're toying with them or something. Like they're, we'll make it seem like we're going to let you in. Yeah. No, we're not going to let you in. It's almost comical because it's so frustrating for Minnesota fans. I could just... Those first 2 home games in Minnesota, the fans were, and Minnesota has great fans, absolutely amazing fans, and their rink is so loud. Just to see them unhappy and depressed it was hard because you feel really bad for their fan base. But 3 games to 0 for St. Louis. Who wins the next game?
It's over. Minnesota's done, in my opinion. St. Louis has all the momentum in the world now. They're a great team. However, the only thing I did question going into the playoffs was goaltending. Based on how Jake Allen had his little incident, right, during the season, they sent him down, build his confidence, bring him back up. Well, it obviously worked, because that guy's playing amazing hockey right now. And to me, he is the reason why this series is 3-0.
Yeah, so if St. Louis wins and Nashville wins, it'll be St. Louis versus Nashville. That would be pretty exciting, I think. Two teams that maybe we didn't think we'd see in the second round.
No, definitely not, because I pegged Chicago. I really did.
Yep. All right, let's move on to, let's do Edmonton and San Jose. Have you watched any of that?
Yeah, I've watched a lot. And, it's due to a guy named Connor McDavid. Yeah, I bashed him for getting the captaincy so young. But come on, he's an amazing player. Yeah. And only a fool would not watch this kid. He's 20 years old. He's doing amazing things. And, I mean, look, he scored a shorthanded goal the other night. That was a beauty. And the fact that Edmonton beat San Jose 2-0 on 2 shorthanded goals. Has that ever happened before? I mean, that's incredible.
That is.
But yeah, I mean, Edmonton to me is the fastest team in the West, maybe even the entire NHL. And San Jose is just not able to contain it at times. It happened last year in the Cup final against Pittsburgh. They could not contain the speed. And Edmonton to me is the perfectly built team to take down San Jose.
And we have to take a moment to mention Cassian. Because here's a guy who has had a lot of personal struggles. He was dealing with, I think, alcohol addiction and drug addiction, maybe. He went to rehab. He rebounded. He's back in the NHL, and he's been the most clutch player in this series so far. I think he has 2 game-winning goals or something like that, and he's just been incredible. And I couldn't even I don't think anyone could have predicted that.
Never.
But it's cool to see, and San Jose looks tired.
They do, and I mentioned this in a previous video as well, that fatigue could really be setting in with this team. They are not a very young team, especially compared to the Oilers. They're not a young team at all. And next to the Penguins, they played more hockey last year than any other team in the NHL. And to me, it's really catching up to them, because Edmonton is just a step ahead of them all the way, beating them to the loose pucks and all those difficult areas. But again, Edmonton's a very fast team. And to me, that's what it takes to beat a team like San Jose, who, in my opinion, is a very experienced team when it comes to playoffs. Yep. Yeah, they've had early exits, but still, throughout all those years, they've put up a lot of playoff games, and they gain a lot of necessary experience.
And like you said, they're an older team, and I think because of that, a lot of the pressure is on them, because they know that they don't have much time left. I mean, Marleau could retire at the end of this year. Thornton could retire at the end of this year. That team's going to change a lot in the next 3 years, and time is running out.
And I honestly believe that if San Jose goes out in the first round this year, I think you're going to see some big changes in San Jose, because I think that will be the factor that makes them realize, like, hey, this team is not getting any better, any younger. We really need to do something here, and I think something will be done.
Yeah, I think it'll be almost a positive in a way, because it'll force change, and change is good.
Yeah. So. But all I know is I want to see the Oilers advance, because they are exciting to watch.
Yeah, they are. I hope they do. Advance, and there's no really not much pressure on them. I mean, there was pressure on them to make the playoffs, and they did that. They've already kind of exceeded, or they've met expectations. Anything beyond that is golden.
It's all bonus now.
Yep. So who wins the next game between those two teams?
I think Edmonton does. I really do, because San Jose just can't put the puck in the net right now. But again, another guy by the name of Talbot is a big reason for that. He's playing phenomenal. His phenomenal play from the regular season is carried over to the playoffs. Yeah. And San Jose's just snake bitten right now.
And on the other side, Jones has led in some very questionable goals. I think there's 5 goals scored in his 5-hole.
Yeah, he's not like he was last year in the Cup final. That guy was incredible. Maybe it's fatigue setting in with him. Tough to say, but to me, he doesn't look the same as he did last year in the playoffs.
I'm going to say that San Jose wins the next game that they play. I'm 50-50 kind of, but I'll go with San Jose. I think they're going to tie up the series at 2. All right, so let's move on to, I think, the last series that we need to talk about in the Anaheim Calgary. Yeah, I forgot they played for a second. Anaheim-Calgary series.
Yeah,
have you watched any of that?
A little bit, not as much as the other series, just because there were other games on at that exact time where I said, I'd rather watch that one more. No knock on these franchises. However, I would have never predicted Anaheim would be in this position right now, up 3-0 on the Calgary Flames. Calgary to me is a very young, fast club, and they have a lot of similarities to the Oilers. And I really thought that would counteract against Anaheim and kind of work in Calgary's favor with the speed game. But to my surprise, here we are. Anaheim is one game away from advancing in the playoffs and taking out the Flames. I would have never predicted it.
Yeah, they were down 4-1 last night and came back and won in overtime.
Yeah, that to me was the dagger that ended that series right there. Because when you have a game at that score, you cannot let that slip away. You cannot. And to me, whatever momentum or whatever win they had left in their sails, it's gone.
Yeah, and resiliency like that is the type of resiliency that wins you a cup. You need moments like that, and you need to persevere. Yep. And Anaheim has done that last night, and I predicted that they're going to win the cup. So I'm happy with even though I want Calgary to win, in my heart, mentally, I picked Anaheim to win the cup. So I'm part of me is happy that they are winning, but yeah, it's unfortunate because Calgary fans are some of the best in the league. That building is amazing. And seeing all those faces last night in the crowd, it was so sad. It was depressing.
Yeah, well, I think that win for Anaheim can be summed up in one word: experience.
Yeah.
Only an experienced team could dig out of that hole and win that game. And Anaheim's a very experienced club. Mm-hmm. They really are. And I think that's a shining factor in this series. You know, Calgary's inexperience, unfortunately.
And they've got Getzlaf, Perry. We know those names. But they've got other guys. Eves has really stepped up this year in that trade. We have Rickard Rakell absolutely killing it. To me, the most underrated player in the NHL. He's been absolutely amazing.
He's one of them for
Gibson has played really well, although he got pulled last night. When he went back to the bench, he was laughing about being pulled. Bernier came in and stole the show. He played amazing. Maybe that's why Gibson was laughing, because he was like, okay, have Bernier, because he's going to shut you down. And he did. But yeah, it's tough for Calgary fans and Calgary. But I don't know who wins the next game. I think Calgary does. I don't think they're going to get swept. Who do you think is going to win next?
I think it's over. Yeah? I think, them losing that game after having such a strong lead, I think that killed any life they had left in them in this series. I think that was the final nail in the coffin. I really do.
Well, we'll leave it at that. That kind of wraps up our series 1, round 1 midpoint storylines discussion, and we'll of course discuss all these series again once they're all over and before the second round begins. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hope you hit the subscribe button and join us here on Post to Post. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next video. Adios.